Young ass, I'm my own grandpa ass.
All right. Well, it's 7 o'clock, so we got Bill Devlin coming up, and we see the
Oh,
Jamesons. Maybe he might
yeah.
be passed
Everybody
out on
get
the
your
floor
glasses.
already. It's
Everybody get your glasses ready.
we not even.
Bill
I
just
I
disappears.
think I think Bill's passed out on the floor already. We ain't even got
Hey,
I
started
thought
yet.
I
Oh,
thought
there
Bill
he
was
is.
making us all a drink.
We thought maybe you was hitting them Jamesons early, and then you would toe up from the flow up.
I can't drink like that every
All
day.
right, guys. I'm out. See you guys next week.
Okay, see
Carl,
you, Carl.
see ya.
All right, Carl.
Bye.
Bill, how you
There's
doing,
Bill
buddy?
hanging out in the car again. I think he's just a professional stalker.
So how was your week, man? How you been?
Are we talking to me now?
I'm talking to you.
Hey.
It's your show.
Devlin hour now. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for
You talking to
tuning
me
in.
now?
My week was pretty good, you know. It was weird Memorial weekend. Usually you're partying and drinking, and all I did was party and drink. So
I'm surprised you even remember what went on the weekend. Is it a blur? Did you have your like drunken blackouts?
and maybe I painted the wrong picture of myself. I might have had a drink or two.
I don't know.
Nothing like
Anybody who has a cell phone that's a flask is somebody that I like.
I should show you my other flask. I'll have my wife get it if we have a minute. She has a minute, but yeah, it's not like usual drink. Like usually I was gonna go to Minnesota and I had to cancel that trip. And so that's usually we go up to my brother's lake and it's like a weekend drunk. Everybody drinks all weekend. And the family does it, and we have like a competition. Like we have a drunk of the night award that you got to do like incredible feats of drunkenness to win the drunk of the night. Like I was scaling one time. I was scaling on a high fence. There's fire jumping. People would do that. One time, my brother thought it was funny to throw the couch out of the cabin and into the fire. So the couch is on fire, and then my other brother threw it in the lake to put the fire out. And those were all pretty good. Those are all pretty good things. But what won the drunk of the night for me that night was I woke up the next morning on the burnt couch in the lake with one hand and a dog in the other hand. The dog's licking my face. I'm like, what happened?
I guess you
Not an
won.
easy award to win. That's what I'm saying.
You won. You won.
Things are pretty calm. Things are pretty toned down. What the hell is that? Herbs. Who is that now?
Oh, that's Dave Carter's joining us. How you doing,
Oh,
Dave?
Dave Carter.
Welcome to the
Hello.
party, my brother.
Oh
Thank
man,
you.
look at his hair.
Doesn't look any different.
Yeah, thank you.
Always had COVID
I
hair.
love the hair. The hair is awesome.
COVID hair.
I got getting some kind of COVID hair, dude.
Yeah.
Getting a little on.
Yeah, I think we
When
all
I
got
was younger,
COVID.
I had a huge. I had a huge afro. I actually had a black power pick that I put in my hair.
Only
I
in
saw it in
America.
I only saw it in your movie once.
That
That afro.
oh yeah, in the Rectuma movie. That's right. I have it. I'm wearing that.
Yeah, I don't have the COVID hair going, but I do got the COVID funk going.
Come on now, don't do that.
Would this be rude to ask? We're all men of a certain age. You ever get to the point where your balls are just doing it on their own? You're like, what is that? You can shower and bathe and talc up. It's like, wow, is that me? Is that actually me? Yeah, that's all me. That's all me.
That's your balls,
Wow.
man.
I think we get to the age where your balls
It's a
have their
certain
life of
age.
their own.
Yeah, they decided that they are going to sit out a sip signal.
You're gonna come on my hour and start talking about your nutsack?
I don't know. I was trying to watch it, and then I ended up in here. I was just trying to watch.
Oh, you
I ended up here.
You trying to watch some balls.
Yeah. Who lives in their car? Okay.
I don't live in my car, baby. I got a nice ass house. Yeah.
See,
Ass house.
Yeah, I don't live in my car.
you
I'm
look
just
mad.
doing
Why you
my show in
mad?
my car.
All right, let's let Bill get back to his hour. This is the Bill Devlin hour right now. So
Oh, come here.
yeah, save your nuts and your homeless car stories till after the show.
Get on a touchy subject. Get a little touchy. Anyway, what I
Get
wanted
your
to
hands
say,
off your balls.
the thing to say to people now is thanks for staying in. It says thanks for coming out. And I think, and in case people missed it, last week we talked about it, but I think it's worth going over again that there was a news reports that farts spread the virus. So that's like, there was a whole study about farts spreading the corona farts. And it's like, who's doing that study in the first place? People are farting and they're taking notes and examining how do you examine a fart under a micro? But the point is, we know that a mask will cover the virus, so this means someone would literally have to fart in your face with a bare ass to give you coronavirus. And if that's happening in your house, you got more problems than just the virus. I'll tell you that much. So I thought that would be worth mentioning again, because it brings silent but deadly a new meaning, is what it's. If you're gonna, so I think I came up with a solution for that one. If you're gonna fart in public, you have to fart in public. Bend over, light the fart. Dave Carter would do this. Light the fart, then it'll blow up the corona, and it'll be entertaining for everybody. Hey, look at he's lighting his fart. That's fun.
It's a corona fart.
And they've also heard that dogs now, there's another study that dogs can smell the virus. And that's a true study. They're saying dogs can smell the virus. And that's like, that'll freak people out. Like your dog starts sniffing you, like, what the hell is it, boy? Do I got the virus? And it's like, no, I just had a sausage in my pocket. That's what it was. And it's because the dogs are cheaper. That's why they're having dogs smell the virus, because the dogs, like the doctor's like, well, that testing will be $200, Mr. Devlin. Oh, for $10, old Shep over there will sniff you. For another $25, Harry the hamster will check your colon. Too much. But I know I mentioned this last week too, because I love dogs. I'm talking about dogs, and I used to have show dogs. Actually, I had championship show dogs, and when you get a dog that's that level of the champion, their sperm is worth a lot, like $1,500 to $200, and that was in a long time. $1,500 to $2,000, and that was a long time ago. I don't even know what it's worth now, but. I was just collecting that money, but one time I had to bring my dog to get his sperm collected, and I really never thought about it. I just thought there was some machine or something. I really didn't know. So I bring my dog into the vet's office, and I find out, and this beautiful vet woman comes in, and she's like, oh, here's your dog, nice looking dog. And I found that the technical term for it is a hand job. Because this beautiful vet woman snaps on some rubber gloves, squirts on some lotion, and gives my dog a hand job. And I'm paying for it. Like, how do I get in on some of this action? I'm thinking about coming back in a dog suit or something. My dog was pretty happy because she seemed like she really knew what she was doing. It's like, I wonder how many times she gets asked out to dinner in that room. Not from the guys, from the dogs. Would you like to go there? But that's crazy. That's her job. Think about it. That's her job, giving dogs hand jobs. I wonder if her boyfriend is like jealous. Like, hey. You got a phone call, and it's like, "Is Rannick there?" It's like, she keeps getting bouquets of dog biscuits delivered to their house. He's like, damn it. He's all apprehensive in the bedroom, though. He's like, hey, sweetheart, this is great, but, do you got to put it in a cup every time and label it? I mean, come on. All right, I carried this too far. But no, with my dog, I mean, the ride home from the vet was it was an uncomfortable ride because it was, quiet, and the dog just kept giving me that look. You know, the ones that dogs give you, the one that says, "I got a hand job and you didn't." That's all right. That's as far as I'm taking that. I love dogs. So the guard dog will bark, and there's an intruder, or the drug dog will sniff, and then he'll sit down, and then there's drugs. And then there's the bomb sniffing dog, and that he's detected a bomb because what the bomb dog will do is he'll run and cover his ears. I don't know. I learned it from cartoons. I'm pretty sure that's what he does, though. I did see that on a cartoon. I wonder if there's corrupt dogs, like drug dogs at the airport. And they're like, "Hey, there's drugs in there, boy?" And then the dog's like, "Oh no, I don't smell that. No." And then that dog lives in a big house with French poodles hanging out at the pool. They'll come to an end when he gets in his car with his doggy buddy, and just before he puts the key in to turn the ignition, his buddy runs and covers his ears. Oh boy, I think I watched too many cartoons when I was a kid. Remember the old cartoons? Everybody was drinking. That's why, drinking is such a thing for, I guess, everybody. But everybody was drinking and smoking and having a good time. Drinking wasn't frowned upon. Cartoons were doing it. Everybody was doing it. I don't know. I'm going to go into that later. I'll go into that story. But when I was thinking it's graduation time now. A lot of kids are graduating. Everybody's got to virtually graduate. That stinks. It reminded me when I went to graduate, I didn't. I wasn't. Nobody will be surprised, but I wasn't exactly passing all my classes, and so there's one class I had to pass, and so in the news back then it was all teachers aren't making enough money, teachers are poor, and I had a good job when I was in high school, so I'm like, hey, I got an idea, and I can't believe I did this. So I figured $100 was a good amount, and I took $100 and I put it in a notebook. And then at the end of class, when everybody left, I came up to the teacher and said, "Hey, I really need to pass this class. Is there anything I can do?" And she's like, "There's nothing you can do." And I'm like, "Well, how about say I turn in this assignment?" And I open the notebook with I grabbed the teacher like fun, and I kept. And she took the money. No, she didn't take a bribe. She did though. She really did take a bribe because I had a scholarship for art school and I was a pretty good artist. And so here's what she did. She said, "Put that money back," and she said, "I want you to paint me a painting and give it to me." And so that was pretty much a bribe, right? So that's what I did. Painted a painting. So it was kind of a bribe, kind of not cash bribe, but what was I watched too many mob shows back then, I think. I don't know. I was in a punk rock band when I was in high school. Dave, I don't know if you know that. That's how I became a comedian. I was in a punk rock band and a 3-piece band. And back then the guitar player would break a string and he would just have to he didn't have another guitar. We couldn't afford that. He'd have to put on a new string. Well, everybody's waiting, all these punk, they had to stop slam dancing and then stand there. And so I'm the drummer. I was a drummer, and I figured I got to entertain these. So I started doing impressions and stuff and telling jokes from behind the drum set. And that's how I ended up being a comedian. I was doing I did old-timey cartoon impressions like Mr. Magoo and stuff. Like, "By George Waldo, if it isn't old Starfied Magoo, I tell you, where's my glasses?" Or Droopy. The cartoon dog, the little dog, he'd be like, "Hello, folks. Oh, what makes me mad?" Dude, old-timey. And we actually lived in a church that it was a vacant church my brother bought it, and he had us live in there so nobody would vandalize the place. So yeah, that didn't turn out to be a good idea. Have a bunch of punk rockers move into a place to try not to have it vandalized. But I hope he's not watching. But no, so we were in. So my band was called Church Picnic, and we put we took the altar down, we tore that down and put it in the basement and made a stage for the band, and we practiced in there. And famous bands were in there, like Husker Du, Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl was in there. He came and played a party, Soul Asylum, Replacements in Minneapolis. Anyway, but we had a baptismal pool in the church, and we put a turtle in there. We filled it up and put a turtle in there. And one night a party, somebody whipped the turtle through the stained glass window, and we're so bummed. We're like, oh, the turtle's dead. And then we found him crawling around out in the yard. He was fine. So we called him Rocky the Flying Turtle after that. But here's what I was getting at with the church was I had a friend of a friend, and he's like, hey man, I got a buddy who's been kicked out. He's been in, and he's on probation. And the kid was like 17. His parents won't let him live back in their place. Can he come and live in the church? I'm like, sure, yeah, he'll live in the church. So he came and lived in the church, put up a tent anyway. And one day his parole officer dropped him off at the church, and he's like, hey, you have like 300 hours of community service to do. If you talk to the pastor of this church, that'll count if you do work around here. He's like, oh, great, I'll be right back. And he goes and he gets me, and I come out a parole officer, and I'm like, well, with fall coming around, there'll be a lot of chores we can have him do. We can have him raking leaves and cleaning out the gutters, and we'll keep him very busy around here. And great, that sounds great. And then I had to, I had to come up with a name, right? He's like, I'm like, I'm Father Alexander. And he's like, oh, okay. And then we have this little chat, and everything's going smoothly until the very end when he's like, I just have one more question, like Columbo. I just have one more. And I'm like, yes, yeah. And he's like, so your name is Father Alexander? And I'm like, yes. And then he's like, well, this is a Baptist church. I'm just wondering how that could be. Because I didn't know, I was brought up Catholic. I didn't know there was really other gods, right? So I remember, so then it's like the wheels are spinning in my head, and it was kind of like the Grinch where he says, yes, there's a light bulb on top. I'll take it to my shop. I'll bring it there, and so I was like, I pulled one of those kind of things. But then I'm like, well, because first of all, he's embarrassed. I'm like, calm down. It's, here's what happened. I'm like, I used to be with the Catholic Church, and now I moved to the Baptist Church. And when I moved, a lot of my congregation followed. And out of habit, they still call me Father. It's strange, but that's how it is. And he's like, okay, I'll buy that.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit, yeah. Except I was like 22. Like, when did I become a priest, have a whole thing, dude? like what the hell? But he fell for it, and it was my job to keep that kid clean. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to hell if I don't keep this kid clean, right? So I'm trying to keep him clean. But no, he immediately starts peddling weed out of the church. So he's selling bags of weed. And I'm like, this is terrible. You can't be, it's free weed. Oh, thank you. But you can't be giving me free weed and selling it out of and then, so like, stop selling weed. So he's like, okay. So the next week he's like, hey man, I stopped selling weed. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then it's like, oh, you can't be selling this. You can't be selling this cocaine out of the church and giving me free cocaine. This is terrible. You can't be. It kept going, like, through all the drugs every month. And that's how I learned about drugs.
By keeping the kids clean.
Keeping the kids clean. One of the craziest shows I did, I've talked about this before, was I did a show at a maximum security prison, and that was scary. I got hired. I was actually at the Improv doing a show, and they came and said, hey, we've been looking at comedians, and we think you'd be the right guy to do a show at the prison. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, what? I'm like, a show for killers and axe murderers and that? No way, forget about it. I'm not going to do that. We'll pay you. I'll do it. So, but I didn't know what I signed up for, because then I found out the more details, and the number one detail was the whole plan behind having a comedian was because they were making all the inmates quit smoking mandatory. And their whole plan was 30 days when they're at the peak of their nicotine withdrawal and all pissed off. Let's bring in Bill Devlin, comedian, to try to cheer them up without getting killed. So, and then I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, you're kind of representing us, the state, so you can't talk about drugs or sex or race or point anybody in the crowd out, or like, so no crowd rap, no talk. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? These guys are hard criminals. It's a maximum security prison. I'm like, what the hell? So I came up with the idea I have to go to the prison and interview the inmates and get, and then write jokes about what goes on in the prison. So I did. I went to the prison, and at first I'm like, where's the prison theater? Where'll I be performing? I've seen Elvis and Johnny Cash. And they're like, there's no prison theater. They're like, a band played over in that corner once. They were all bad. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm in the middle of a prison yard. And I had to, so the place where I, like, you got to be elevated. So I picked a concrete picnic bench to stand on. And with it was going to be 1,000 inmates at each show. Now, I had to do 9 shows in 2 days.
Wow.
1,000 inmates each, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I had this group of inmates that were kind of the good guys. I don't know, like the roadies or the I don't care, trustees or whatever they call them. But so they were going to all take care of me. Their job was to protect me and do what I needed. And so then, so I was asking these guys about what happens, what goes on in the prison. I'm finding out crazy stuff, like they tear the sheets and use them as, they go fishing with their sheets to get notes and stuff, and people will talk. I got all this stuff. But anyway, and before that interview was over, all of a sudden the lady that was, running the thing walks out, and they all start looking at me like, hey man, what? They're like, hey, when you come back, man, to do the show, will you keister some tobacco for us? I'm like, keister? Oh, pick up your keister. I'm like, what the hell? An ass full of tobacco? No way. I'm not going to do that. An ass full of it. They'll pay you. I'll do it. But it was scary. I had nightmares about doctors pulling cartons of cigarettes out of my ass. It was scary because I don't know, if I don't do it, they might kill me. If I do it, I could get caught and I'll end up in prison and then they'll kill me. I didn't know what to do. So, when I got to the prison, they were mad. The inmates were really mad because, nobody told me I was supposed to wrap it up or put it in a balloon or something. I think I devalued it. It's like, they're all walking around. What are you smoking, man? Oh, it's Bill Devlin. It's good shit. One guy's like, let me try that. The Bill Devlin. It's a fine blend of Thai spices and Irish whiskey. It was scary. They actually gave me a belt, an alarm button to put on my belt. And they told me that would protect me if the inmates all started rioting. They said they might go off. I'm like, what's that mean? No, they start shanking and rioting. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? If that happens, just stand still and don't move. I'm like, what? They're like the T-Rex? If you don't move, they don't see you? How does this work? But I put the belt on, but then I realized, I'm surrounded by, 1,000 inmates, and if they start going off, even if I had time to push the button, it wouldn't be an alarm button. It would be just a come pick up my dead body button. I think it was just connected right to the coroner's office. This is embarrassing. I'm drinking water. I feel like I'm ruining my reputation. Well, I think I have my reputation behind me. Speaks for itself. Dave wants to come over and drink some of this. So does Steven.
I do.
What about Herb? I don't know if Herb likes whiskey.
Not allowed.
Not allowed. Where's your sandwich tonight, Herb?
I ate it a couple hours ago.
Oh. But yeah, no, you know you drink a lot. I guess you know you drink a lot when you got 26 bottles of Jameson on your mantle. But also, you know you drink a lot when you're surprised that you don't have a DUI. Like people are just mentioning, I'm just like, hey, I don't have a DUI. And everyone's like, what? You don't have a... I'm like, no, I don't have a... And my liver is fine too. The doctor's surprised that my liver is okay because I like kind of tell them how much I drink, and they're like, "There's got to be something wrong with this machine. Can't be right, liver." But proud to announce my liver is fine, folks. I gotta drink water once in a while. I don't know what else was I gonna tell you guys about. Pot. About pot. Drugs are stupid, really, when you think about most drugs. I know I admitted that I tried a lot of drugs, but I was smart enough to, know most drugs, like crystal meth. Like, what the hell, what's in that? Like battery acid? I mean, have you ever seen anybody snort that stuff? I guess you smoke it now, but back in the old days, we would snort it, and they'd be like, oh my God, the pain, make it stop for the love of God. Oh my God. Hey, that's pretty good shit. You got any more? That's what a guy, cocaine, cocaine's a stupid drug too. To simulate cocaine, if nobody's tried it, you just have to drink a bunch of coffee, irritate the hell out of your nose, and then rip up a large pile of money. That would simulation of cocaine. And I was thinking about this because, what would kids do? Because, our parents were shocked at everything. Like, pot was the devil's. I mean, just pot. Now it's legal. Pot's legal. A lot of things are, I don't know. Just wouldn't shock us. We know about them. But, our parents didn't know anything about any of these drugs back in those days. And, what would our kids do to just be totally freaked out? You come in your house and your kid's in his room and he's doing, you're like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's just radiation, Dad. And you're like, what the hell, radiation? That stuff will kill you. It'll be, man, they use it in hospitals for medical reasons, man. No, that stuff, you can't, radiation. That would freak you out. I don't know. There's got to be more. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that later. As I've touched on, my wife is Asian, so is her family, and yeah, I don't know, she's from Thailand, and I love Thailand's a fantastic country to go to. There's a town that we drive through that's near her town. It's called Ding Dang. Yeah, Ding Dang, Thailand. And you can't talk about anything about that town without sounding like an old Southern guy trying not to swear. I was driving to the Ding Dang market and I got pulled over by the Ding Dang police.
1 minute and
He gave me a Ding Dang ticket. I had to go to the Ding Dang court and the Ding Dang judge gave me a Ding Dang fine.
Go to the top where Zoom.
Can't do nothing in this Ding Dang town. Ding, dang it, ding. What if the virus came from Thailand? Ding Dang Thailand. Then it would be the Ding Dang virus. What did I have to call it? The thing, but I love Thailand. There's crazy stuff that goes on in Thailand. When I was people love monkeys. Do you guys like monkeys?
As
Monkeys. People think monkeys are cute, and there's a lot of monkeys. There was a video recently of monkeys just going bananas in Thailand, just go in the streets, just hundreds of them going crazy. Monkeys scare me. Monkeys will rip your face off. They'll bite your nutsack off. Your nutsack would be gone, Dave Carter.
Drag at the ground.
Monkeys scare me. And I was, this is already my frame of mind, but we were in the River Kwai in the middle of jungle, and there was a monkey, and I watched him, and he went into some woman's purse and he stole a bag of popcorn, and then he went up on the roof of this shack, and then he's up there eating the popcorn, and for some reason it compelled me that, oh, I would make a cute picture, a monkey eating the popcorn. So I take my camera and I snap a picture, but the flash goes off. And so then the monkey looks at me, and then I look at the monkey, and then I made the mistake of looking him right in the eyes. And the monkey looks me in the eye, and I look him, and then the monkey's like, oh, it's on. And he starts swinging, coming at me, and I'm running. And this monkey like, what the hell is he gonna do? Yes, I'm literally running. I'm screaming like a girl. And my wife comes out, and she starts whacking the monkey with a broom. She's like she fended it. She saved me from the monkey, basically.
Hey guys, Nick DiPaolo here, and I want to thank.
And we were on the River Kwai, literally in a little shack. All it was a shack, a fan, a light, and 2 mattresses on the floor, and it was floating on the river. And I wake up like the next morning, and just these windows, like bamboo windows. It was like really like, and I see out the window. And it's early morning, my wife's sleeping, and there hanging from a tree is the monkey. And he's looking at me, and he's like, oh, now I know where you live, Devlin. And he's like, I'm like, whoa, the monkey knows where I live. And like I shut the bamboo shutters. I'm trying to lock them, nothing locks. I'm like, the monkey's gonna come. It's a stalking monkey. Monkeys, yeah, it's scary. Monkeys will scare the hell out of you. And then on that same trip, I got something, I cut my thumb. I'm not trying to give Thailand, I love Thailand, but I'm just telling you stories. Stay away from the monkeys. When you see the people, like I see tourists and they're trying to feed the monkeys and coax them, I'm like, no, you guys have no clue what you're doing. I drive by, suckers. Monkeys will steal your camera. They'll steal your phone. There was a video of a monkey that stole a kid, a little baby. Did you see that? The monkeys, they're crazy. But I got this cut on my thumb, and I didn't think much of it. It was like a sliver or something in my thumb. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to mess with it while I'm in Thailand. I'll wait till I get back to the U.S. And by the time I got back, it had grown. It was growing. And so I did the old, you're never supposed to, you sterilize the needle. You stick with a match, the lighter, and then I started poking around in it. I couldn't, whatever was in there, usually you could take a sliver out like that, but whatever this was, it would not come out. I couldn't get out. And after that, it just started growing. Like, it was weird. Like, it was like something was growing out of my thumb. So I went to the emergency room and at the Presbyterian on Vermont. I would not recommend that hospital. So the emergency room doctor comes in, and she's digging around in there. But now you can see, like, she's like literally cutting and digging and poking. Like, she's like, I can't get it. And at this point, I see, like, is it my imagination? Like, there's something in my thumb, like dodging around in there when she's poking. Like, and she couldn't get it. She just gave up. She literally made my thumb 10 times worse. She put a big gash in it, made whatever was in my thumb really mad, and then just bandaged it up and sent me home. Now, I'm like, there's a creature in my thumb. And so then I'm like, I called my doctor, and at that point, I had this Russian doctor, like literally, like you pull up, like she was on the corner of Santa Monica and Vine, like next to that boxing place. There's a boxing place, check cash, and a doctor. Like, and I go out, and I didn't know it was her but there's this woman in a like a dress, like short, like a clubbing, like she's gonna go out to the club, and she's in high heels, and she's smoking with like a rubber glove. And turns out that's my doctor. That's my doctor, Russian doctor. And she's like, oh, you have creature in thumb. Like, this is normal. In Russia, like, oh, creature, you have creature in thumb. It's okay. I give you prescription. Like, prescription, go to Russian pharmacy, get this. And she writes a prescription in Russian. So I go to the Russian pharmacy and I show the guy the prescription, and he's like, who's your dog? This is like old school Russian, like she's a vampire or something. Like, I don't know. Like, he's like, this is for a ancient Russian tea, like a tea. And he's like, yeah. And he gets it, and he's like, here you go. And I'm like, what am I? Do I drink the tea? Do I soak my thumb? Did the creature drink the tea? Who drinks the tea? Do I soak my thumb? The guy's like, I have no idea. It's like a tea. So I did everything. I drank some tea. I soaked my thumb. I gave the creature a little tea, and nothing worked. None of that worked. And so then I had to go to, it was calling my health insurance at this point, and so I had to go to so they sent me to this place there's that park with the fountain near Alvarado, like near downtown. Like, anyway, it's like where you go there and you think you're in Mexico. So nobody spoke English. I go in there. I had crappy health insurance. If you guys aren't gathering this by now, I had horrible health insurance at this time. Go in there, nobody speaks English. Tell them, about my thumb. Well, somebody, obviously somebody did, so I could explain it. But anyway, so then I end up in this room, and then they keep bouncing me from one room to the other. And like one doctor comes into the emergency room, into the room I'm sitting in, and he's like, "Oh, you're American, like we were in a foreign country or something." And then I tell him about my thumb in Thailand. He's like, "Okay, so what's your thing? Like heroin? What drugs are you?" Like, what are you talking about? He like literally wouldn't believe me that I just got this thing. And so then he sends me to another. The bottom line of this story is, all of a sudden I end up in this room with an IV in my arm, and I'm just in there. And the next thing you know, they put me on a gurney, and I don't know, they're talking in Spanish. I don't know. They wheel me in to an operating room, and I get a surprise full-blown surgery. All of a sudden they all come around with masks and like, okay, we're gonna do surgery and take this thing out of your thumb. It was I didn't even have time to call my wife. I'm like, wait. Will they put that stuff? And like, no, they gave me a shot. That's what they gave me, the shot, and then I'm out. So next thing I know, I wake up in a, room after a full-blown surprise surgery, and they got the creature. Creature was out. He's in a little jar. His name's Carl. Like Jameson. That's true story. Other than the creature is Carl. There was a surprise full-blown surgery. My wife said, "Where the hell were you?" I'm like, "I just got out of surgery." That's crazy. So I have better health insurance. I think that's the moral of that story. And it was Blue Cross, by the way, at that time. It was when they first came out with the new Covered California. It's good now, but it was crappy health insurance and a creature in the thumb. So that's. I'm running out. I'm not drinking. That's the problem. No, I can't drink. I gotta go do a thing later, or I can't be drunk. So this is me sober, folks. It's a rare sight. It's a rare sight to see Bill Devlin sober. I don't know. I know you guys do a lot of TV commercials. I was up for one, because you guys know how exciting it is if you get close to getting a big one. And I was up to be Colonel Sanders, the next Colonel Sanders. And
wow.
Not for here, but for China. So it's Colonel Sanders. But I put on the whole thing, and when I looked just like Colonel Sanders once I put, you put all that stuff on. And so I made it all the way to the callbacks. I was making stuff up, because there was really no script, and they were on a Zoom meeting like this in China. The Chinese people didn't come here. They were just like, they were so, and my wife was giving me, teaching me a little bit of Chinese to say, like ni hao. Ni hao is hello in Chinese. So I was making stuff up in my audition, like, well, see if I can get my Colonel Sanders voice. Well, you folks, I'm Colonel Sanders. My chicken is delicious. It's real different. And well, in China, you folks say ni hao, and in Kentucky, where I'm from, we say howdy. So why don't we just say ni howdy? It's a perfect blend to bring us all together. Ni howdy. My chicken's delicious. Now I'm seeing why I didn't get this part. No, but it was close. It was between me and one other guy, and we had to do a full-blown wardrobe thing. They had to pay us because now we both had to do a wardrobe because they want to see us in wardrobe. And it was literally you were gonna get on a plane like the next day and go to China, whoever got it. And I'm saying stuff like because hun hao sure is delicious. How sure is delicious. They're all different ways to say delicious. So I was like, well, hun hao sure, how sure ma. I don't care how you say it. My chicken is delicious. It's real different. It's real. I'm seeing again why I didn't get this. But it turns out they're watching in China and they're like, he's not. They don't get the jokes. They didn't get the jokes. They're like, it's ni hao, not ni hao. He's wrong. He don't get it. He's wrong. So the other guy got the part, but it really just killed me basically. You know how you don't get a part like that and then you feel like crap for a couple of days. I don't know. I walked around with a sign in Hollywood. I put a sign around me that said rejected and just walked around. No, I didn't. We get over it. We get over it. But hey, I don't know if you guys heard Louis C.K. was actually going to be one of the Colonel Sanders before all that blew up in his face, and he was going to he was going to be in charge of their new jerk chicken campaign. And the way it worked is you'd walk into KFC and they'd give you the jerk chicken whether you wanted it or not. You're gonna get the jerk chicken. I don't want the jerk chicken. Well, you're gonna stay and watch us eat the jerk chicken. Forget about it. All those sexual harassment things. When I was a kid, the biggest. I remember when I was a kid, but like if you guys remember, not too far back, the biggest sexual harassment thing was beautiful female teachers having sex with their 15-year-old students.
Right.
That was happening. Right. And I was thinking, where the fuck, that made me really mad because I'm like, where the fuck were those teachers when I was 15? That's what I want to know. Because 15, you're so horny, I did anything. I'd whack off to Josie and the Pussycats. The cartoon, that was a cartoon. Sexy cartoon. I don't know. Why am I explaining myself? Do anything. I had sex. I fucked a piece of foam. Foam was asking for it. No, it was scratchy. I went try it, Herb. It was very scratchy. I see you've got a collection of foam behind you. Don't get any ideas. It was very, very scratchy. Good thing they didn't invent memory foam yet. Because then, wake up in the morning all hungover, the foam would be cowering in the corner. You'd be like, "Get over it!" And the foam would be, "I can't! I'm memory foam." I don't know. I got a Roomba, the self-cleaning robot vacuum cleaner, and people say they love those because when they're done cleaning your house, they dock themselves, and turns out my house was so dirty, I came home to find out my Roomba killed itself. Yeah. It filled the tub with water and just wheeled right in there. There was a little note on the ledge of the tub, a little glass of wine. Looking at the note, like, "I'm done cleaning your house. This is a nightmare. There's something living under your couch. And P.S. Tell the toaster I love her." And that Roomba's got some, I fucked that up. that memory foam has some fucked up stories. I hate when that happens. Screwed up the joke. That's because I'm not drinking. I think a lot of my feet when I have a little alcohol in me. I've been watching a lot of movies with mermaids is what I'm trying to say. The older movies have mermaids. You ever see that? In a lot of the older shows, there's mermaids, and guys always want to have sex with the mermaid. And it's kind of weird when you think about it, because she's half fish, the most important half. Like, if you go down on a mermaid, does she smell like human? These are the jokes, folks. But I'm wondering how did the story of the mermaid come? They had a thing on the Discovery Channel, and the mermaids were actually invented, or actually they said they saw them was the old fishermen that were out to sea for months and years at a time. They're the ones that said they saw the mermaids and will swear the mermaids exist. And I'm thinking, okay, I can see how this happened. There's a guy one morning wakes up and he goes to his shipmate. He's like, hey, Bob, was that a fish you were fucking last night? And Bob's like, no, that wasn't a fish. That was a mermaid. Oh yeah. Oh, you just saw the tail end when she jumped. Oh yeah. Oh, she was beautiful from the top up. Oh, big bosoms. Oh, she was fantastic. You just saw I wouldn't fuck a fish. No, never. And that's how the mermaids were invented. It's from the fishermen. What else was I gonna tell you guys about? Hey, it's almost 10 to. Hey, are you next, Dave Carter? You're making.
No.
Will's
I'm
next.
taking notes for you.
Will.
Oh, you're coming in. Oh, you're taking. Oh, great.
Will's next.
So we have. Yeah, that's right. Will's next. I don't know. Anyway, I have no. We don't have kids. We were trying to have kids for a while, and the minute it doesn't happen right away, they blame it on the guy. Like, all of a sudden, I got to get tested, right? And so my wife's like, you got to go get tested. First, I bought a thing at the store, just at the grocery store, called a sperm check, and then at CVS. Sperm check. That sounds like something you would bring into a hotel room, like a sperm check, like a beep, 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 beep. What the hell is going on in the sperm? But I didn't want to do the sperm. After I read the instructions for that, it entailed handling the sperm just too many times. It was like, you're going to put it here, you're going to put it there, now you're going to test it, you're going to wait 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's a lot. That's ridiculous. So my wife found a lady that owned the lab where the doctors send us stuff. Because again, I still had crappy health insurance. So it doesn't cover that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to the lab, cut out the middleman. So we go to the lab, and they're like, oh yeah, you can do this. And then they put down this cup, and they're like, but we got no place for you to do this. We're a lab. And I'm like, oh, man. I've always heard, stories like of guys that, have this test done, and they're like, oh, you go into a room, and there's movies and magazines, and there's a hooker whore in the corner of you, like, oh, anything you need is in there. And I'm in the place where they got nothing. So they decide to send me into a janitor's closet. Yeah, so I go into the janitor's closet, and it doesn't even lock. Like if somebody just walked in there, it'd be just like some guy whacking off to ShamWow in there. So I'm in there for a minute, and it's dark. That'd be better. Leave it dark. And my eyes start adjusting, and I'm like, I got to get this job done. So I'm looking around. I see a mop. I'm like, oh, you dirty mop, you filthy mop. No, that's not. I see Mr. Clean. I'm like, no, that's a different show. Whole different show. And they see Rags. Oh, you dirty rags, you filthy rags. And trying to use my imagination, and then finally, my eyes started to come into focus. I see an actual picture of a woman, and then I see that her name's Doris, and she was Employee of the Month. And, she was Employee of the Month because she got the job done. That's these are the punchlines, folks. But we tried for a while. Because my wife is like, she was sure it was me, like, oh, his sperm is drunk, it's lazy, it don't know where it's going, it don't know what it's doing. So we went to Thailand, and in Thailand they're going to do this test where basically it's like a turkey baster is involved. I don't know. I have to go into a room. I'm in Thailand. I won't go into the details, but I thought, okay, this is going to be fantastic. No, another room. I could hear people eating lunch on the other side of the wall. And not even a picture of that. But anyway, so they collect my sperm. There's a turkey. Basically, the procedure is like here. It's like this. So if my sperm is too drunk to know how to find the egg, this procedure they throw your sperm into an Uber and give your sperm an Uber ride right to the egg and let it out. You can't miss, right? And that didn't work. That didn't. I'm like, how could that not hand out? That's ridiculous. So maybe my sperm is really drunk because it got out of the Uber and went into the wrong house. How could that be? That's bananas. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with this. I'm going to end up a little short. Is that okay, Steven?
Yeah, that's cool.
Short.
Yeah.
I got the thing I got to go to. But I'm here. We're all self-employed, I think, most of us, which is kind of crazy now. But people think that's so great. Like, oh, you're self-employed, you're your own boss. That's so great. That's so fantastic. And I'm like, yeah, my own boss. So, like, if I'm not getting the job done, how do I fire myself? Like, what do you do? Like, you can't. Like. I catch myself stealing office supplies, and I'm like, oh, these are mine. And it gets weird too, because the other day I touched myself in the shower, so now I'm suing myself for sexual harassment. Yeah, it did end. I went to court for that one, and the judge is like, all right, Mr. I'm like, hey, judge, before you say anything, I'll tell you I was asking for it. I got a button that says #me. Just how if you did fire yourself, well, how would you do it? Like, if I did fire myself, I'd do it like Mr. Spacely from the Jetsons. If you guys remember that, Jetson, you're fired. We'll end it there with a little Mr. Spacely. Thanks for joining, Dave Carter. Good to see you. I'll have to call you to collect my notes. I got a thing. I gotta help my wife. It's not. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into any details.
Awesome.
But you guys are great. Thank you, Steven. Thanks, Herb.
Thank you, Bill.
I hope Will is ready.
Good. Great job. That was fun, man. You're funny, dude. You're always awesome.
Any questions, anybody, before I go? No questions.
Good stuff.
All right. All right, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Have fun.
Thanks. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bill Devlin, everybody. He's so funny. Good dude. Good dude, man. Oh, it's funny because I think one of the reasons why I got into comedy is because I love to laugh. But, being a comedian, there's a part of your life where you're dissecting why you're laughing. And there's a part of you are, even though you're not laughing and it's funny, you're dissecting why it's funny, even though it doesn't make you ha-ha laugh. but you can recognize that it's like really funny. And when I watch other comedians, I always in the back of my mind have this, okay, so why is that funny? And why am I laughing at it? And when I can identify it, it makes me that much more into the material and that much more into the performance. And like the thing that when you have a comedian like, well, Dave, yourself, and Will and Bill, there are some facial expressions and there's just some, there's some eye expressions and just, there's this whole like audio visual part of the actual dialogue as well that really sells the funny. And I see that in some of the bits that Bill does. He's like, his face and how he says it. It's you can basically break down the analytics, of why that's funny, why you laugh, and it's a combination of the facial expressions, the eyes, how he says it. Like when he does the "we're gonna pay you" bit, I know what's coming. I've seen it like 20 times, but I still laugh because he's walking away like, I ain't doing this, then we'll pay you. I'll take it. I think every comic can relate to that because we've been that, in that position where I ain't doing that show, man. It's like, that's bullshit. I'm not doing that. We'll pay you. I'll take it. So what's your take on that, Will, when you're watching other comics and they make you like ha laugh, or they don't make you laugh, but you can appreciate why it's funny?
I would say, from doing it for so long, you see the people who really put the work in. You see the people who are the writers and really respect the craft and everything, and you can tell from the stage presence and the timing, the setup, punch and all that, and so you really, like, when you really watch it, you can really respect those people that are out there doing their thing, and then you see the knuckleheads who don't take it serious, who got fired from their day job and think they can come out and do some comedy. Like, you got fired, you was a telemarketer just yesterday. Now you want to be a comedian. Oh, okay, all right. But so you was at Mervin's, you was working at Raw. So, okay.
But you know what's funny about that, Will, is everybody who's long in the tooth who runs across that, they're like, okay, there it is, go for it. You a comedian, go ahead, Mr. Funny, Mr. Comedy Man. There it is, microphone, lights, and stage, bro. Because we know it's a crash and burn experience for them knuckleheads that don't know what the fuck they're. It's not like we're trying to protect the stage. Not like we're like, you can't come in here, man, if you're not a comedian, man. You're like taking some shit from us, man. Like, comedy is one of the few things on the planet where nobody can really take your thing from you because you've been doing it long enough to where you got the blueprint. How you gonna steal my blueprint? Because we know what. Like, I already got battle wounds and scars and stuff, what it takes to get to the level that I'm at right now. So you go, like, anybody like, let's make a body wall. Let's make a, you got a gauntlet of